One of the things that I love doing is watching movies. My wife and I love watching movies together, and we don't just love any kind of movie. We love the epic movie, the big action adventure where it is just bombastic. Buildings are blowing up, there is maybe aliens or big robots, and if the world needs to end in the process of the movie, then so be it. It is worth the adventure, and we love those kinds of movies. We just get a kick out of them. And there's something that all of those movies have in common. They all tend to start with a big wide angle view. They show the world and the problem from a big wide perspective. Maybe it's an alien movie and it starts from the moon or from one of the planets with a picture of the earth. And then the camera zooms into the earth and you start to see continents. It enters the atmosphere and you start to see a nation and the working pieces of that nation. And then it zooms in even further into a city and then into a neighborhood. And then you see a window with a family through that window having conversation at dinner table or in the living room. And then it goes in through the window and you engage and you meet the mom, the dad, the boy, the girl, and you start to experience what life is like for that family on a personal level. That the epic enters into the everyday, the cosmic enters into the living room. As a communicator, it is your job not just to hang out with the epic, but to bring it into the everyday. Not just to stay in the cosmic, but bring it in to the living room. This is New York City. This is where I grew up. And when people think of New York City, they think of the skyline, they think of the epic, they think of the World Trade Center, Freedom Tower, they think of the bridges, 42nd Street and Times Square and Fifth Avenue. But when I think of New York City, that's not what I think of. This is where I grew up with my mom and my sister and my brother. When I think of New York City, I think of the Lower East Side. I think of Jacob Riis housing. I think of the small 534 square foot apartment that we lived in growing up. And I do think about this view right here because it's what I saw every day out of my bedroom window. But for me, New York City wasn't the epic, it was the everyday. It was about growing up with a single mom. It was about wrestling and figuring things out together. And when people talk about New York, I feel like we're not talking about the same New York. And so what I want to encourage you is that as a communicator, don't just stay with the epic, but bring it into the everyday. Don't just stay in outer space in the cosmic, but bring it into our living room. And that way, you can not only bless your hearers, but also teach them what the world really looks like. Not just on a grand scale, but on a personal level.